I received an anonymous message asking me not to open the closet in the hallway, but I don't even have one. First, a little context. I'm 35 years old, single, and live alone in a pretty standard one-bedroom apartment just outside Milwaukee. Nothing fancy. I work as an insurance adjuster, boring, yeah, but stable. My life is as predictable as a rerun of Friends. I've been in this place for about 6 years now, and nothing remotely strange or supernatural has ever happened here. Honestly, the most excitement I've had in the past year was a neighbor's cat getting stuck in the laundry room. Until last Thursday. It was around 10:30 p.m. and I was wrapping up some emails before bed when I got a message. Not a text, not an email, it was a DM on Facebook from an account with no profile picture, no mutual friends, nothing. Just a plain name, Marianne L. Not even a last name, just an initial. Normally I'd ignore stuff like that, maybe assume it's spam or a scam. But something about it made me open it. It said simply, "Do not open the hallway closet." That's it. No hello, no explanation, no follow-up. I blinked, then laughed a little. I actually typed out a response, LOL, wrong person? I don't even have a hallway closet. But then I stopped myself. Something just felt off. See, I don't have a hallway closet. There's a coat hook by the door and a small linen closet near the bathroom, but there's no closet in the actual hallway. It was such a weirdly specific thing to say. Like, it wasn't "don't open your closet" or "don't look in the hallway." It was "do not open the hallway closet." Like a warning. I let it go. Thought maybe it was some spam account trying to freak people out with vague creepypasta vibes. I blocked the account, closed my laptop, brushed my teeth, and went to bed. But around 3 a.m. I woke up with this bizarre feeling. You know that moment when you wake up from a dream and your heart's still racing, but you can't remember why? That was me. I sat up and for some reason my eyes went straight to the hallway outside my bedroom. Now this is where it gets weird, and I swear I'm not making this up. The air felt heavier. The hallway looked the same, but I got this tight feeling in my chest like I was about to have a panic attack. I got up, turned on the hallway light, and walked it end to end, touching the walls, checking the baseboards. I even opened the linen closet, towels, and cleaning stuff, nothing weird. But I couldn't shake the sense that something had shifted. The next morning, I told a friend at work, jokingly, about the message. He laughed and said maybe my landlord installed a secret closet overnight and didn't tell me. I laughed too, but it didn't feel funny. I went home that night and did something I'm kind of embarrassed to admit. I tapped on the walls of my hallway like I was hunting for hollow spots. I don't know what I was expecting, a hidden panel? A fake wall? It's a stupid apartment, not a Scooby-Doo mansion. But when I tapped near the end of the hallway right across from the bathroom door, the sound did change. Duller. Less echo. That's when I remembered something. When I first moved in, the neighbor across the hall, old guy, retired firefighter, had mentioned something about the units being remodeled years ago. Used to be more storage space, he'd said. I didn't think much of it at the time. Now I couldn't stop thinking about it. I knocked on his door. He answered in a stained Packers shirt, holding a half-eaten sandwich, and looked surprised to see me. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. "Weird question, did this unit used to have a closet in the hallway?" He blinked, then nodded. "Yeah. Years ago. Before the last guy. They drywalled over it. Mold or some shit, I think." I felt my stomach drop. "Wait, they just covered it up?" "Yup," he said, chewing. "Kinda creepy, right?" I don't remember what I said after that. I just mumbled something and walked back into my apartment, staring at that spot on the wall. Right where the tapping changed. Right where the closet used to be. I didn't sleep much that night. So after learning from my neighbor that there was a closet there once, drywalled over for mold or some shit, I couldn't stop obsessing. I mean, you don't just seal off a closet unless there's something wrong, right? And why would someone go through the trouble of reaching out anonymously to warn me about it? I started digging through old emails and lease paperwork. My apartment building was built in the late 60s, renovated sometime in the early 2000s, and I found a PDF from when I first signed the lease. I never noticed this before, but the original floor plan had a closet marked hall storage, 3.2 foot x 3.2 feet, right in that exact spot. Okay, so there was a closet. Not just an odd rumor. That night, I stared at the wall for what felt like an hour. I turned off the lights and it just looked wrong. The paint texture didn't quite match. The baseboard in that one section was misaligned. Something had been covered up. I took a picture of the wall and texted it to a friend, Ben, who works in construction. He replied, "That patch job is shit. Definitely covered something up." That same night, weird stuff started happening. Around 1:15 a.m., just as I was falling asleep, I heard 3 soft knocks. Like someone tapping gently, tap tap tap, not on the door, not the windows, but inside the walls. I froze in bed, just listening. It came again. Tap tap tap. Same place, the hallway. I grabbed a flashlight and walked out there barefoot, heart pounding. I stood in the middle of the hallway, shining the light along the wall where the closet used to be. Nothing. I said out loud, hello? No answer. But then I heard a faint rustling. Like something shifting behind the wall. I'm not proud of this, but I actually said nope out loud and went back to bed. I left every damn light on in the apartment. The next morning I brushed it off. Told myself maybe the pipes were expanding or settling. Classic horror movie denial mode. I had work to do, deadlines, real life. Couldn't let this mystery closet drive me crazy. Except that day when I came home, things were off. The picture frame on the hallway wall was crooked, noticeably so. I never leave it like that. My keys, which I always leave in the bowl by the door, were on the floor. The living room lamp was on even though I'm positive I turned it off before leaving. It felt like someone had been in my apartment. I called my landlord. Told him I was worried maybe there'd been a break-in. He said the maintenance guy had been by to check a leaky pipe in a unit 2 floors up, but no one had entered my place. He double-checked. No entry logs, no camera footage. My door lock showed no signs of tampering. That night, it got worse. The power went out at exactly midnight. I know because I was watching Severance on Apple TV and it just cut to black. No storm, no wind, no nothing. Just silence and darkness. Then, I heard it again. Tap, tap, tap. I sat there in the dark, barely breathing. I wasn't about to go into that hallway without light, so I used my phone flashlight, shaky hands and all, and crept down the hall. The tapping stopped. Instead, I heard breathing. Soft, raspy breathing coming from behind the sealed wall. I swear on my life. I put my ear to the wall and heard something on the other side shift. Not a mouse, not a rat, something bigger. Slow. Heavy. I backed away, trying not to scream. The lights came back on. Just like that. As if nothing happened. I barely slept. I laid in bed with my baseball bat next to me like a paranoid lunatic, just waiting. Every time the fridge kicked on or the wood creaked, I jumped. The next morning, I did something desperate. I started knocking on my neighbors' doors. I live on the 3rd floor, end unit. Only 2 people answered. Mrs. Levin, sweet older woman who said she hadn't noticed anything weird, and a guy named Dan who just moved in a month ago. Both said they hadn't heard anything strange. No knocking. No sounds. Nothing. I told Mrs. Levin about the wall. She nodded slowly. You know, she said, someone did die in that unit a long time ago. They gutted the hallway after. Never told us why. What do you mean, someone died? She hesitated. I didn't know him. Young guy. Lived alone. They found him in the hallway. Blood everywhere. But the papers said natural causes. Strange, huh? I felt sick. Someone died in the hallway. Right outside or maybe inside the closet. And now whatever was behind that wall, it wasn't done. After what Mrs. Levin told me that a guy died in the hallway supposedly of natural causes in an apartment where a closet had been sealed shut, I couldn't go back to pretending this was just in my head. There was no normal explanation anymore. No leaky pipes. No wind. No old building noises. I tried to go about my routine. Eat breakfast, go to work, act like a functioning adult. But all day I was jittery, checking my phone obsessively, rereading the anonymous message over and over in my mind. Do not open the hallway closet. But here's the thing. There is no closet to open. So what the hell was I supposed to do with that? That night I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling fan, listening to the quiet. Cooper, my cat, usually slept at my feet. But since the night the lights went out, he'd started avoiding the hallway altogether. He wouldn't even go near it. He'd sit on the couch, staring at the wall with his ears laid back, tail twitching. Around 2 a.m. I heard it again. Tap. Tap tap. Scray ape. Something dragging. From behind the wall. I got out of bed, grabbed my phone, and this time, I hit record. I wanted proof. But of course, when I crept into the hallway with the camera rolling, the sound stopped. All I captured was my shaky breath and the low hum of my refrigerator. I don't know what possessed me, but I reached out and placed my palm flat against the wall where the old closet would have been. And I felt something. Like a pulse. Slow and steady. Faint, but there. The wall was breathing. I pulled my hand back and stumbled into the bathroom. I looked in the mirror, pale, sweating, eyes wide. Okay, I told myself. This is it. You've lost your damn mind. So I did the most logical thing I could think of at that moment. I called Ben, the construction friend. It was 2:30 in the morning and he didn't answer, obviously. But I left a voicemail. Hey man, I know this sounds insane, but something's behind my wall. Like where they drywalled over the old closet. Can you come by tomorrow? I'll pay you. Just bring tools. He texted back at 7 a.m. You okay? You sound freaked. I can swing by tonight. When Ben showed up after work, he had a small sledgehammer, a drill, and a stud finder. He knocked on the wall, tested for beams. The whole time I could see his face slowly shift from skeptical to disturbed. You're not wrong, he said. This patch job is real half-assed. They didn't even match the studs properly. So, there's space behind it? Yeah. Not a ton. But something's there. He started cutting. The sound of the drywall being sliced open was the most anxious I've ever felt in my life. Like opening a sealed tomb. About halfway through the cut, the power went out. Again. Just like before, no warning, no flicker. Dead silence. Ben paused. Did you trip the breaker? I whispered, it does this sometimes. He looked at me for a second. You don't have to keep going, man. I do. He pulled his phone out and turned on the flashlight. Finished the cut. And when he pried the drywall loose, it fell with a low thud. Dust poured out. Behind it was a tiny, dark space. Not even 4 feet deep. A narrow cavity between the walls. The smell hit us first, mildew and something else, something sour. Ben leaned in, shining his light inside. There's something in there. My blood froze. What do you mean? He reached in and pulled out a small, wooden box. About the size of a shoebox. It was wrapped in what looked like cloth. Old. Faded red like a discolored towel. Ben set it on the floor. We stared at it. I'm not opening that, he said. That feels like some Annabelle shit. But I was already kneeling down. I unwrapped the box. My hands were trembling. The lid wasn't even locked, it just slid open. Inside were an old cassette tape. A yellowed Polaroid of a man's face, eyes closed like he was asleep. A small brass key. And a folded piece of paper that just said in scratchy handwriting. He waits in the dark. Do not open the hallway closet. But the closet was already gone. Right? Ben was standing behind me, pale. I'm out, man, he said. This is way above my pay grade. Burn that shit. Or bury it. I don't care. But don't play that tape. He left. I stared at the box. The cassette. The key. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Because the wall, now open, wasn't empty. There were fingernail marks on the inside. After Ben left, I sat on the floor staring at that box for what felt like hours. The brass key was cold in my hand, oddly heavy for its size, and the label on the cassette tape was worn to the point of being unreadable. It looked handwritten once, but the ink had faded into a blurry mess of time and dust. The photo disturbed me the most. The man in the Polaroid, maybe in his 30s, face pale, eyes closed, looked peaceful at first glance. But the longer I stared at it, the more something felt wrong. His mouth was slightly open, like mid-breath, and the angle of his head suggested it wasn't just a candid snapshot. It was like someone had posed him. Like he was already dead. I put everything back in the box and shoved it into the hall closet cavity, then pushed a piece of furniture against the wall to block the exposed hole. I taped a towel over the cutout, not that it would stop anything, but I had to do something. The next morning, I woke up with a headache that felt like a vice was wrapped around my skull. The power had come back on overnight, but every single light in my apartment was flickering like it was on the verge of giving up. I didn't remember turning them on. Cooper, my cat, was nowhere in sight. I eventually found him under the bed, flattened to the floor, shaking, and when I reached for him, he hissed. He's never hissed at me before. And that night? That was when the dream started. It wasn't just a dream, though. It was a place. I was standing in my hallway, but the light was dim and sickly yellow, like it was bleeding through fog. The closet, the real one, not the covered-up wall, was open, and there was something inside it. Not a person. A shape. Tall, too tall. No features, just darkness. It whispered something I couldn't understand. My ears started ringing. Then it took a step forward, and its arms stretched out toward me like roots. I woke up gasping, heart pounding so hard I thought I was having a heart attack. And on my floor, at the foot of my bed, was the cassette tape. I had put it back in the box. I know I had. I called out of work. Told them I had food poisoning. I just couldn't deal. I spent most of the day trying to convince myself I'd imagined it. Maybe I dropped the tape. Maybe I never put it back. Maybe. But then I checked my hallway camera. I'd installed a cheap indoor cam pointed at the hallway a few days earlier after the knocks started. The footage from the night was corrupted. The time between 1:11 a.m. and 3:46 a.m. was just static. That night I gave in. I found an old tape player I had in a box of junk and popped the cassette in, half expecting it to be blank or warped. But no, it worked. At first, all I heard was static. Then breathing. Slow, deep, wet breathing. Like someone gasping through a straw. Then a voice, male, hoarse, almost whispering, started speaking. She opened it. She let him out. You mustn't open it. He grows in the hollow. He listens. He waits. Silence. Then scratching. And the sound of wood splitting. I stopped the tape. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped the recorder. It hit the floor, popped open, and the tape unraveled like it had been waiting to be freed. I didn't sleep at all. At 3 a.m. the knocking returned, not from the wall this time, but from inside my bedroom closet. 3 knocks. Tap. 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 I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Then a voice, barely audible, came from the other side. Open. It wasn't mine. And it wasn't alone. I turned on every light. Sat in the living room with a kitchen knife like that was going to help me against a voice in the wall. Cooper never came out from under the couch. When dawn finally broke, I called the management office for my building and asked who had lived in my unit before me. The receptionist paused. Let me check. Oh. Looks like that info's sealed. Huh. That's weird. Sealed? Yeah. Usually we just archive it. But there's a note here. No tenant history disclosed without owner approval. That's unusual. Can I talk to the owner? I don't think he takes calls. Can you give me a name? She hesitated again. All it says is M. Lank. Lank. That name didn't mean anything to me. But then I remembered the Facebook message. The sender's name, Marianne L. M. L. Had she been trying to warn me? Had she lived here? I tried to go back to the message to reread it. But when I looked, the account was gone. Like it had never existed. Deleted. Scrubbed clean. And that was when I heard it. From the bedroom. A click. Like a door unlatching. Only I hadn't opened anything. And I don't have a closet in the hallway. I didn't go into the bedroom. I just didn't. I sat frozen on the couch, staring at the hallway like it might breathe again. Cooper sat beside me, tail wrapped tight around his body, staring at the same spot with wide, unblinking eyes. That click, that soft little sound of something releasing, echoed in my skull like a gunshot. Because here's the thing. Even though I didn't move, even though the lights were on, I felt it. Something had entered the apartment. Not walked in. Not broken through. Bled in. Like it had been waiting, hiding behind plaster and paint and history. For someone like me. Someone curious. Someone who couldn't leave well enough alone. All day I tried to act normal. Took a walk. Got coffee. Sat at the park like a zombie and watched kids play and wondered what it's like to not have your brain rotted with fear. I didn't tell anyone. Couldn't. What the hell was I supposed to say? Hey, I found a box in my wall that whispers. Also, my closet is haunted by a dead guy who may or may not be fictional. By the time I came home, the sun was setting, and the hallway felt darker than usual. Like it was absorbing the light from the bulbs. I didn't go near the cutout. I didn't touch the box. But the tape recorder was on the floor. Fully rewound. I didn't rewind it. I didn't even plug it in. I stared at it for a full 5 minutes before picking it up and hurling it into the kitchen trash can. Then I took out the trash and dumped it into the bin outside. I didn't care. I wanted it gone. Every part of me was screaming to get rid of it all. I should have listened to that part. Instead, I went back upstairs and opened the hall wall. Inside, where the box had been, was something else. A photo. A fresh one. It was of me. Sleeping. In my own bed. The sheets matched. The angle matched. I don't even lock my bedroom door, so it's not impossible, but I live alone. No one should have taken that photo. No one could have. Unless I didn't sleep that night, obviously. But sometime around 4 a.m., I nodded off on the couch. Cooper curled against me, eyes still wide and alert. And I dreamed again. This time I was inside the sealed closet. I mean inside the old closet space, but in the dream it was deeper, endless. The walls stretched out into blackness, and the air was wet, like breathing through fog. There were voices whispering all around me, hissing, choking. Some were crying. Some were laughing. A horrible, high-pitched childish giggle that echoed through my skull like shattered glass. And in front of me, crouched against the far wall, was the man from the Polaroid. Except now his eyes were open, and he was smiling, but his mouth was too wide. His teeth were cracked and yellow. And when he moved, his limbs didn't bend right, like he had too many joints or not enough bones. He crawled toward me, slow, deliberate, upside down like a spider. I tried to scream, but my voice was gone. Right before he touched me, I woke up. There were scratches on my arm. 3 red lines, trailing down my forearm like claw marks. No blood, but raised. Burning. Cooper was gone. Not in the apartment. I searched everywhere, under furniture, inside cabinets, even in the dryer. Nothing. I stood in the hallway, in front of the sealed closet, and said out loud, "What do you want?" And I swear to you, the wall responded. In the faintest whisper, like someone's lips against the other side of the drywall, I heard, "You opened it." I didn't. Not really. The wall was always there. Sealed. But maybe that wasn't the point. Maybe opening wasn't physical. Maybe it was awareness. I thought about the phrase, "He grows in the hollow." Not lives. Not weights. Grows. The more I knew, the more he grew. And now I was feeding him. That night, I packed a bag and checked into a hotel across town. Felt stupid. Irrational. But I didn't care. I needed to sleep somewhere that didn't breathe. Somewhere without whispers in the drywall. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. A text. No number. No name. Just, "Where's the cat?" My stomach dropped. I didn't respond. A minute later, another text. "He's still in the closet." I rushed home at 1:30 a.m. The apartment door was unlocked. I didn't leave it that way. Inside, the lights were off. The apartment was silent. Still. Cold. The towel I'd taped over the closet hole had been shredded. And inside the crawl space, Cooper, curled up, silent, but breathing. When I reached in to grab him, he flinched. Not like he was scared of me, but like something behind him had touched him. I pulled him out and ran. I'm still at the hotel now. Cooper won't leave my side. He doesn't purr anymore. I've made an appointment with a priest tomorrow. And a psychic. And a guy from Craigslist who says he deals with forgotten architecture. I don't care. I'll try anything. Because I finally believe the message. Do not open the hallway closet. But maybe I never had a choice. Maybe just knowing it was there was enough.